All right, we're here. We're almost to the end of this kind of sorry year.
Each year is sorrier than the year before.
I don't know. Well, it's been a good year for the channel.
Oh, for us. Yeah, we've had fun.
Definitely.
I'm Mark, and this is my friend Eric. We started a little over a year ago doing this.
Yeah.
Now look at us. Now we have people watching.
Yes, we've got a couple of people watching. What do we have on Rumble? I have to like refresh the Rumble page in order to see 21 watching us on Rumble right now.
Right. They're all in one room watching it at the Rumble Pavilion in Canton, Ohio.
It could be. It could be. But oh, look, that number's going up 30, 31. It's cool watching that go. 539 here on YouTube. Awesome to see everyone. Free Form Friday, which means no basic rules. We're going to communicate with you guys, answer questions. I'll be jumping around, prioritizing locals as usual first. But I mean, obviously, we're going to cover everything as much as we can, and Rumble, etc. But there's Mark's crawl at the bottom that he loves for our locals.
There it is. There it is. I like that crawl.
It's been growing.
CNN or something.
Exactly. Breaking news. Breaking news.
Dude, what happened to that guy who was arrested in Romania?
I believe he's out now. But by the way, I have to give credit where credit is due. Okay. Was it Greta Thunberg or whatever her name is?
Yeah.
Her comment today or after he was arrested, that was a mic dropper. When she said, moral of the story is recycle your pizza box.
Oh no, that's brilliant. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I can't stand her, but I gotta give it that was good.
I mean, were people looking for him? I don't understand.
Yes.
He was in hiding in Romania?
He kind of, I don't know, like a lazy hiding. I know that he was wanted on some charges that we can't say on YouTube, but and I guess they were having trouble finding him, or they were just, they were like, we can't really locate this guy. He does the video, gets in that spat with her, has a pizza box in front of him that showed the location of the pizza joint. And they were like, oh, okay. And then they went and picked him up. So the pizza box crack was just perfect.
Interesting.
And yes, it was probably her handler, but still have to give it some credit. Okay, people are saying it's not true. True, not true. I don't know.
What's not true?
That the pizza box story is true. They're saying it's not true.
No, I'm wondering about the charges of this guy. It seems a little too easy for an enemy of the state to be that bold.
I don't know. Okay. I'm not going to make any commentary on the charges other than I understand that there were charges.
Okay.
So it's. And John, no, you actually can recycle a pizza box. I found that out lately because my wife is very concerned about recycling everything in the world.
Wait, what do you do? Slice it up or something? What do you do? Shred it in the shredder?
No, you just throw it in with recycling because it's cardboard.
It's paper. Yeah, why not? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and I guess people are saying, oh well, it's dirty with the cheese and stuff. It's like when they melt it, that cheese is gone.
Right.
It's not going to matter.
Especially the Hunley household. There's nothing left in that box.
Well, I try not to waste anything in the environment. I mean, I enjoy service.
I like that little table that goes in the middle that you could use for your Barbie doll set. That props up the top of the box so it doesn't hit the cheese. You people know what I'm talking about. That miniature table in the center of the pizza box. You can use it for your dolls at home if you want to recycle that plastic table.
There you go. There you go. I believe he is out though. Somebody's saying if he's free now. He's back on Twitter.
I mean, I'm just wondering how he could be out on all those crazy charges, but I guess more will be revealed.
Yeah, and I don't know how the laws are in Romania. I know so little that I feel like I just get into trouble saying more.
Now, the other kid is having YouTube, Instagram influencer girls come over to his house in Silicon Valley in the middle of the night. He had this smoking hot Asian girl who's an influencer show up at about 1 o'clock in the morning to his parents' house, and she visited him in his bedroom. So this is, I guess, house arrest for him for Sam Bankman-Fried, right? SBF.
It's not a bad deal. And check it out, Dustin. He's being loyal to the show again.
The kid is standing here with a gas can asking where the match is. It's not like Now America's Untold Stories on. Okay, but what I'm saying is this kid who is having, can I say whores on YouTube?
You just did.
Okay, well, I won't say that. Or escort. Let's say escorts, and come over to his house in the middle of the night. This can't end well. That's all I got to tell you, because this is not going to continue for too long.
Well, one would hope, but God only knows. I mean, freaking judges, everything else.
Hold on, I'm making a New Year's prediction. It just came in. Sam Bankman-Fried will die from an overdose of fentanyl. Just want to get that on the record. And it'll be one of these girls he's partying with, and she will bring over these, not fentanyl pure. It'll be in some prescription drug or some drug he likes to abuse.
Adderall or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be. I
don't think he could be allowed to testify, because the other two have already flipped. There's no room for him to flip, and he knows too much, and they can't let it go too long, because he can get on the phone, call the editor of Vanity Fair, or sign some exclusive interview deal, and then they're going to have the phones are going to be picked up as to who he's calling. And in other words, he's got too much information. He's sitting there too vulnerable. He's got nothing to do. Anyone could call him and try to get the story out of him. He's apparently a yapper on the phone with people like the guy at CNBC, that talking head over there, and others. I mean, it could be anybody could call him, Eric, and say, you want to do an exclusive interview? Yeah. The deep state cannot afford to have this kid naming names in some cockamamie interview, high as a kite on Adderall or fentanyl, in the middle of the night while he's sitting in his bedroom with Instagram influencers coming over. So I am looking for a quick resolution to this deep state problem early in the new year.
Well, who knows? Maybe we can mix it up, and maybe the OnlyFans girl who killed her boyfriend could be one of the influencers that comes,
right. They could mix
narratives.
Right. They could mix two problems into one. But I thought earlier in the week that he would be allowed to, they would take their time, but now they can't. He's just too vulnerable and too dangerous, and he knows too much. In other words, he can't go to trial, which the trial may be a year and a half from now. And I thought, okay, he can't be allowed to sit around for a year and a half with all that information and expecting not to use the phone or do any interviews or go online. It's too much time.
Very true. I'm going to push back at Albino Viper here. No, they don't want him to squeal because he has too much of a connection to actual congressmen and stuff who are picking up the money. Right.
Yeah, there's no squealing.
He's
the fall guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other two, the girl and the other guy, are the ones who have flipped. They don't need him anymore. And I mean, don't need him at all. I mean, he's really got to go, Eric.
Oh, yeah. Good.
Yeah, he's in a tough spot. The only way.
This is a good point.
What?
Has an influencer made a drop to Project Veritas? I could see that happening.
Made a drop to Project Veritas. I don't know. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. But
because they do that, they send people in to talk to whomever, and
right. That's why I was shocked to see that influencer in there so quickly. Influencer or whatever that that girl was Asian girl was in there so quickly the other night. I was like, whoa, that didn't take long. And we still don't know the mystery man or organization that co-signed for his bond.
Yeah, I have no freaking idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me jump to locals so I can get some questions in here.
Okay.
This one came in much earlier. It's from Philip Smith Books. Question for Mark. is there any evidence or patterning that connects Richard Speck to MK Ultra or similar behavioral research?
Never seen anything. Never seen anything. And he did, keep in mind, he killed the nurses in Chicago. Really one of the first. He's not even a serial killer. He is really a mass murderer. What's that?
A spree killer or a mass
murderer? No,
a
mass murderer. I mean, I've only delineated two types, either serial killers or mass murderers. And it's one incident for Speck. Mm-hmm. So Speck does it all in one night with the nurses in Chicago. I think it might have been 9 nurses. 1 survived, 1 hid under the bed. I don't, if I'm correct, I could be wrong on the number, but I think 1 survived under the bed. But the reality of it is, he does go into prison and grow huge breasts. And
no, he was the first trans.
Right.
But he's
starting to be known more for being the first transitioned mass murderer in American mass murder history than an unusual mass murderer. Put it that way.
The footage of that, which I have,
I just thought of it. I can't get it out of my head. It's so dark.
But then you're sitting here going, okay, well, wait a minute. Who are the lowest on the totem pole in prison?
Who?
Child killers, people who do that. So, I mean, really, in terms of just survival.
Well, he didn't kill children. I mean,
but he's up there. They don't like, people are killing women just indiscriminately either. They don't like. There is a certain code. So
I don't know about that, but
he's on the bottom of the heap, and I guess he just said, "Let me go the whole way."
Yeah, he did the full Monty. I mean, and they seem to have a lot of cash. Remember in the video that he made, he seemed to have a lot of money. There was cash on the bed, the bunk or something. I remember him spreading it around, and I think he's dead. Is he still alive? Richard?
No, he died a couple years ago.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. But I don't know if there's any connection to MK Ultra. I mean, not everybody is connected to MK Ultra. Like, I know my mother wasn't, because she would have jumped on it. She liked to collect coupons. Some nights we would just clip coupons out of magazines as a family. So.
Right. Kaczynski, Ted Kaczynski. Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Then there's some scuttlebutt about possibly McVeigh, but I don't know.
I hear that all the time, but I've never seen any evidence of it.
Right.
That's not to preclude it doesn't exist. I've just never seen it.
Right. I mean, McVeigh, from what I've understood, did seem like a straight out revenge scenario.
Yeah.
It did line up. I mean, but let's see. Another question for you. The head of security of a well-known rock band in the 90s told me that 1 in 4 of the Hollywood crowd has genital herpes. They didn't tell partners because they didn't see it as anything worse than a cold sore. True or false?
If I don't know how to answer this. Most men who, I don't know, but okay, let me see if I can answer this. Because there's different kinds of herpes. There's genital herpes, there's regular herpes, there's herpes simplex too. There's ones with a cold sore on the lip, and then there's ones that don't materialize. But basically every man who had unprotected sex who's from the 70s has some form of herpes.
Wow.
Which is in the shingles herpes. Shingles is in the herpes family. Shingles is another derivative of herpes that can break out, later for anybody, but they're all in the herpes family. There's a lot of different things in the herpes family. Let me put it that way.
Okay. Justice filling us in, same. Andrew Tate is remanded in custody for 30 days by a Romanian court over claims that he kept 6 women under house arrest 24/7 like prisoners, and forced them to do online movies.
Sketchy, very sketchy. They did it on their own, and somebody ratted them out. I'm gonna put my prediction in early. They did it on their own. He was running movies out of there, and he paid them, and blah blah blah. They lived there.
Could be. Don't know. I mean,
just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, he's not a popular guy amongst
certain women, like Greta Thunberg, queen of the clouds.
Oh yes, Queen of the Clouds. I like that. Okay, mine's on locals. What happened to the windshield on the Kennedy limo? I've heard 2 stories. One that it was disassembled before it left Dallas, and another that it made it back to the factory when the car was refurbished.
First of all, it went all the way back to Washington, D.C. with the car itself. It was, the whole car was flown back to D.C. It was in the garage. It was then flown to Cincinnati and then Detroit. I think Cincinnati did the windshield and Detroit did the rest of the car. But there's a filmed interview with a guy who was involved in replacing windshields on those cars, and they crushed the glass, took it out, and put in a new windshield. You know, there's plenty of photographic evidence. I don't even know why this is a mystery anymore. There's 10,000 photos of the bullet hole, and there's documentary testimony of the removal of the windshield, and then the renovation of the car was done, you know, fairly quickly, and then sent back to Washington. So, I mean, the car was in the garage in D.C., and then it was flown to Cincinnati and Detroit, I think.
Fair enough. That makes sense. What do we have on Rumble? How's the hand? Hand is getting better, just long. Not much specific on there. All right, to YouTube. It was destroyed. Yeah, ultimately the windshield was destroyed. I mean,
right. I mean, but it wasn't destroyed like a piece of evidence. I mean, you crumble these windshields anyway into little particles of glass
and recycle them.
Yeah. I mean, the windshield had a hole in it. I mean, whether you think it's a bullet hole or not, I mean, they still replaced the windshield.
Right. Okay. Jasso is asking, have we read Chaos? Yes, I've both read Chaos and I've had Tom O'Neill on my Eric Hunley channel. And I know Mark has read it and knows Tom O'Neill as well.
Very exciting book. I think he's doing a book on Jolly West right now.
Okay. Why was the preschool in Oklahoma City federal building closed on that day?
I have no idea.
I don't know. I've not researched it at all.
Yeah, either have I. I have no idea about that.
Question for you, Mark. Were you ever threatened or told to back off during your research and digging around?
No. Nobody verbally told me, or
I don't know. I guess it could be
nobody's
anything.
ever told me. I mean, I've had some wiretap issues. I've had electronic problems, but not physical threats.
All right. Are you a member of the Mile High Club?
No, I'm not. Wait a second. Hold on. I got to think about this. Am I around? I don't think I am.
Uh-oh.
What?
You fell short, man. You got a story out there, something to achieve.
No, I'm just thinking of every flight I've ever been on. I'm just going, what the hell happened on that flight? I'll have to get back to you on that one. There's a lot of flights.
Somebody was asking about your acid trips on locals. Hold on.
Okay.
This is kind of fun. I mean, I like this.
Yeah, this is a weird one.
Okay, question for you. In your experience or to your reliable personal knowledge, are acid flashbacks real?
I've never had one. I don't know. People who have them, it's almost like you have deja vu, really. It's not like you're having hallucinations, although people say they do. I don't know. I've never had it. They say it's real, but I don't have it myself, so I don't know. The only thing I could say is like you feel like you've done something before, but people have deja vu without acid. So yeah.
This is also from locals. What do you know of Jolly West's relationship with Charlton Heston?
Oh, there was some relationship. I forgot. Oh, what was that relationship? Charlton Heston and him went together to march with Martin Luther King in the civil rights protests in D.C. or maybe in Selma or somewhere like that a couple of times. West and him bonded over the civil rights movement.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Somebody, I see Jim Peace interview with Speck is creepy as yes, it is
creepy,
disturbing completely.
Yeah.
Heebie-jeebies. How did we meet? I still can't quite remember, Mark, how
man.
I think it was on Twitter. And I don't know if you said something snarky to like one of my tweets or about a show with Viva Barnes. Anyway, but we went back and forth and we're DMing or whatever. And then I know I checked out an interview you were doing, or you did with somebody, and you were just spouting off the history of alcohol. And I thought it was really interesting. Your presentation,
probably.
It was no, that one wasn't with Dr. Drew. It was somebody else. I was just checking you out.
It was my friend Steve Gibb.
That could be.
Yeah, Steve Gibb. He had a podcast.
Right. Anyway, so I checked out. I was like, okay, well, that's cool. And then you were like, well, I got a bunch of stories. And anyway, we just talked, and then Mark came on. It was like a free-for-all episode. That's on the channel here. I did upload it. And I was like, okay, well, I got to get Mark with Barnes.
Right.
Because of the two. And then, I don't know. Eventually, this channel came about because I was talking to Mark. It's like, well, we'll do something like once every month. That'd be kind of fun. And then you got back to me, I think it was August or September, said, Hunley, I'm going to die before I get these stories out. So we need to pick it up.
Pick it up. Yeah, it was too much. Funny thing about Steve Gibbs. Steve Gibbs' father is an obscure musician named Barry Gibb of the Bee Gees. So he had a lot of Steve Gibbs stories, but he had Michael Jackson as a babysitter as a kid. And Michael Jackson sent a double of himself one time to be the babysitter because he was busy doing something else.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, that's a story for another day, but I'll tell that in another episode.
And we may do a Michael Jackson episode. I think we've talked about it.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of weird. I know a lot of weird stuff about Michael Jackson that's not in those documentaries.
All right. Mm-hmm. From 214, Jeff, has the LBJ Albert Thomas Wink photo on Air Force One been discussed?
Yeah. Yes. Oh, yeah. We did quite a bit. Yeah.
DB Cooper episode. I don't think so. I've interviewed one person who did DB Cooper, Tom Corbett, on Eric Hunley. I don't know that Mark's really deep into it or has interest there.
It's been done too many times for me personally to be interested. I mean, it's just too much coverage. I don't even care about it. I don't care.
Well, and that's the bottom line. And actually, let's talk about that for a second, because we do get a lot of pushback, and we don't necessarily mean to upset or annoy people.
It's just what interests me personally. I could say it in a nice way, but it's not going to change the fact that I'm not interested. So what difference does it make? You know,
right. Also, interviews. We don't really do interviews on this channel. We do hangouts on occasion with Barnes, with Viva.
That's like family. They're like family.
Right. Or
everybody's saying you got to get this guy on, that guy on. Have you ever seen this guy or that guy on? I mean, have you seen the show?
Yeah, we have done. We had Max Gold on, Max Good on. Sorry. Max Good,
yeah.
Well, that was
because we already
one
had
interview.
So that we already did Ruth Payne. So you know.
Right, and Mark interviewed some people in Dallas, but then that's a local thing. So it's not a show thing; it's a local thing. It's additive.
Right.
And I think
not an interview show is the answer to the question. It's not an interview show. We interview each other essentially.
Yes. And I do interviews. So if you want me to do an interview sometime, you can reach out. I may or may not, depending. But for this show, we don't. Mark will say, well, no, or I don't care. It can be a little snarky sometimes. That's not.
Sorry about that. I mean, I've interviewed a lot of people in my life professionally. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not opposed to interviewing. It's just another way of thinking that's not what this show is. It's a completely different type of journalism. This is a storytelling show of stories, not interviews. If we wanted to do an interview channel, we would interview people on another channel. And this is not what this is. It's apples and oranges.
Right.
That's all. There's nothing wrong with interviewing people. It's just not what this is.
Yes. Totally agree. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, any opinion on Richard Belzer's book Hit List? Well, you know Richard.
So. Yeah, no, I mean, it's an accurate book. I mean, it's almost like a list of people. You know, it's a fine book to have. I mean, I'm sure 80% of it or 70% of it might be correct. Some of them obviously died by normal causes, but you know, what difference does it make? He has a whole book with a list of who's dead, which is a good collector's item.
And how was it
You know,
received?
Belzer's kind of like me. He kind of got into this thing, you know, as a side hobby. Not an expert on it, but definitely addicted to it. You know, in terms of he's not a real researcher, Belzer, but definitely of interest to Richard.
Oh, for sure. Anyway, and how was it received in the community? People pretty cool with it?
Nobody cares about it. No,
Okay.
I'm being honest. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody gives a shit. It's like it's like a pop culture book.
All right, this is a good one actually. What is the connection between eco-terrorism and MK Ultra, Unabomber, and Charlie Manson? Actually, Kaczynski is the template for a lot of it.
Right. The eco-terrorists worship Kaczynski, and they go, and in fact, their eco magazines do interviews with him. I don't even know how they're allowed in there in Supermax, but I saw one on video where a woman was interviewing him. I mean, he's their hero. I don't know what it has to do with Manson, with Charlie Manson. No, but I'm just saying the eco-terrorism movement spun out of the Unabomber, right, Eric?
Essentially, yeah.
Right. I mean, all those things that he wrote about, they, you know, putting steel nails in trees to screw up the loggers and have their blades hit, you know, that's all from him. I mean, all, you know, blowing up cars and car dealerships, and, you know, the eco-terrorists are now the ones that are screwing around with our grid around the country.
Yeah, I mean, well, it was funny because I've interviewed James Fitzgerald, who did the language stuff to help put him away. He worked at the FBI, but he's talked about Kaczynski, and he was saying, you know, a lot of his writing is dead on, accurate, very cogent. He just happened to bomb a lot of people.
Right.
It is a weird thing because it's like he's the guy's a genius. A lot of what he's saying is correct. A lot of it would be agreed upon by a lot of people, but had that habit that didn't go over well.
Right. All I'm saying is that the eco-terrorism movement spun out of him.
Yeah.
It all starts with him.
Now, Manson, I don't know of any tie with eco-terrorism.
No. But he's got a air, water, fire. I think that's what he's talking about. Manson's has an separate Manson movement. I think he sent me his business card once, and it's got like air, fire, water.
Manson sent you his card?
Yeah, I got a business card from Manson somewhere here, and it's got air, fire, and water, and something else on there.
Okay, well, that's one of the stories you didn't tell me either.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that's a long story. Right. There was a friend of mine, who was going to go visit him to play music with him in his cell. And I had to head that off for someone named Cher. Her son was going to play music with Manson, and they had been corresponding. And she asked me to intervene to prevent her son from going and playing music with Manson in his cell. That's a short version of the story. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. Oh, wow. We've got some tips coming in on locals. Thank you.
Tips like horses?
No, like cash.
Oh,
thank you.
Weird.
Okay. Let me see. We've got different stuff here. Oh, all right. Crash Davis, is there any truth to Sly Stallone before he became famous that was a boy toy for some producers? And did he ever get revenge?
He kind of
did porn, I thought.
He did some porn, and he came out of New York, like he was working on Rocky, and he became a juggernaut pretty early on once he did that. I mean, he's brilliant.
To his credit, he, if I recall, he wrote Rocky, and everybody wanted the script, but not him. And he said, if you want my script, you have to. And he stuck to his guns. And good on him.
Yeah.
Question, Jeff SK, how did you become a drug counselor?
You take a test and you get a certification. I mean, you can do it. I mean, there's licensing involved and testing involved and stuff of that nature.
Okay. And Wells Mortensen sent a $5 tip on locals. Thank you.
Right on.
Pardon my ignorance, gents. Where is the JFK/Dallas car now? Destroyed? Museum?
I think it's in the Smithsonian. They have I don't know if it's on display, but I think they have control of it.
It makes sense. I guess it could be there, or it could be, I mean, in his library. It could be in the Nixon library, because
I think
used
it's in a museum. I don't think it's on display now, but I think it had been taken from the DC garage and put into Smithsonian garage at some point. I'm not really sure. I think Vince Palomaro might know, the
probably
Secret Service guy.
I'm sure. Just call me Peter. Would like Mark's take on Biden's distrust of the Secret Service, according to the new
what
book.
was that? I read part of that. I didn't understand that. What was the deal there?
I didn't even know there's a book, so I'm totally out of it.
Oh, there's a book, right? That's right. I haven't really read the book, so I don't really know what the deal is. But the pull quote was that he doesn't trust the Secret Service. No shit, Sherlock. He's not an idiot.
He's not young, folks. He's not a young man. Yeah. For the board, sent a $6 tip. Was Clint Murchison, and that's Murchison, Senior, Hoover's best friend, and is there enough meat on the bone for an untold?
There's not enough meat on the bone. He wasn't his best friend. He was, a wealthy oil man, but LBJ and him were neighbors and best friends in a lot of ways. So they walked their dogs together. Murchison lived in Texas, and Hoover lived across the street from Johnson in DC. So the closeness is really him and Johnson.
Yeah.
In terms of, I don't know about best friends, but,
access at least.
Yeah.
All right. Wells Mortensen said Barnes recently did a nice interview with Nina Infinity, a cute YouTuber, mentioned Mark writing a script certain agency bought behind the curtain. Question: what else did Mark write?
What was that?
I could enjoy a cinegraphic form.
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm going to just interpret, and hopefully I get it right.
You interpret hieroglyphics. You can do this.
I believe they're saying that you wrote The Recruit under another name, and it got snatched.
Under another name. That's not. I've never written under any other name but my own.
No. It was called another name.
Oh, it's called The Farm. Yeah,
right. So you wrote it under another name. It was another name.
No, when you say you wrote it under another name, it usually means you wrote it under another name yourself.
Okay, you wrote it as another name.
No. The movie itself had different titles.
Sure.
And it went through a development process where they changed the titles back and forth from The Farm to The Recruit a couple of times. And I wrote it originally as The Farm. And in fact, it was named The Farm. Then it became The Recruit. Then it became The Farm. Then it finally became The Recruit.
Okay. So basically the bottom line question is, what other movies have you written that you can check out?
That have been produced?
I guess, yeah.
They're not checking out any of them because that's the only one that was produced.
Okay.
Yeah.
Philip Smith Books, for you, have you ever interviewed Kenneth Anger? And
that would be interesting.
Do you think Bobby Bossolo and Anger had any interactions with Jolly West in San Francisco in '67?
I don't know where they were. I think Kenneth Anger would probably want to have sex with Bobby Beausoleil. Just a random idea, but yeah, I don't know. That's I don't know where those people were at that time. I know they were in Southern California.
All right. Speaking of Richard Belzer, wasn't he the guy Hulk Hogan choked out?
Yeah.
Hulk blamed it on Richard being high on coke.
I don't know who was high on what, but yeah, there was some incident between the two of them. I don't recall what happened there, but yeah, Hulk Hogan and Richard Belzer, and remember Andy Kaufman was a wrestler too for a while and had some problems. So anyone who enters the wrestling ring is just asking for trouble, just who thinks it's phony. And then they always want to demonstrate to you that it's not phony. If you want to see a good movie this weekend, check out The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke. If you want to see why Mickey Rourke is Mickey Rourke, check out The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke. You could check out Diner, one of his early films. But if you want to see his later work, check him out in The Wrestler. It's absolutely fantastic.
good actor who managed to recreate his looks in the worst possible way. Let's see. One more from locals, and I'll jump. Question for Laura Buckley. Would it be possible for Bat Boy to be Fauci's love child?
That is kind of weird looking. You know what? There might be something to that. Bat Boy might be some Fauci experiment gone bad on his own child.
He's been around long enough.
Right. Interesting.
All right. Jump into Rumble. I see 63 telecasters in here. Mark should read Monkey Wrench Gang from 1975.
What is that?
I guess it's a book.
Okay. I'll just get it. After the show, I'm going to just go do that.
All right.
Okay.
And Mary Hugh wrote, Happy New Year to you both. Looking forward to another year of untold stories. And somebody put a Wikipedia link to The Recruit. Not sure why.
Mm-hmm.
One thing to note too, getting back to Recruit and IMDb, etc. Mark has a lot of things that he's done that are not on IMDb. For example, 2 VH1 episodes, both of which you can see on Locals.
Oh, right.
That have him in it. They're not on IMDb. So a lot of people will just say, oh, it's not on IMDb. If you don't actively put it on.
Autistic people, I think. If you want to read the CIA in Hollywood, you can read the narrative of the making, a book called The CIA in Hollywood. Recent book. You can read about the making of The Recruit and my involvement with the CIA and the entire story of how they were altering my script. Let's just put it that way.
Or you can always watch CIA in Hollywood on this channel.
Oh, yeah. We mentioned it. Can we mention it in there, Eric?
Yeah, so we talked about your case and
right. Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, well, it's a year in review, so yeah. Yeah, it's a long. I don't want to get into it. It's a long story, but there were 5 writers on The Recruit, but one of the main writers was at Langley itself at the CIA, and we kind of outed him as one of the writers secretly writing the movie draft.
And once that all came about, that's when the checks started to clear and things started to move along, didn't they?
Yeah. Well, we ended up in federal court with the deep state. Let me just put it that way. It was an interesting event.
All right. So back here, has any 3-letter entity asked you to write a propaganda movie for them since you vested them for stealing your work?
No, I think I'm an enemy of the state at this point. I had to sign a bunch of agreements not to disclose what I just disclosed, and I've already disclosed it. So I am definitely not on their go-to list. But there are guys who are, and we know, and they know who they are. So, CIA or family of CIA. Yeah, there are guys who are go-to guys. I'm not one of them, believe me.
Or CIA in the media. We have 3 CIA or 4 now. Sorry.
Yeah.
You know what? We're going to probably have to do CIA and social media.
Right.
And expand it to NSA and the other. I don't know.
Yeah. As soon as the dust settles on that scandal.
Yeah, I think that definitely is worth it.
Yeah.
Peter Cascido gave us a $49.99 super sticker. Thank you very much.
This guy's
Peter. Please send a question in sometime.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you're so generous. We deeply appreciate it. But definitely ask a question. Wow. Mark, have you ever met Hunter S. Thompson?
Did I? No, I did not.
But he is one of your heroes, right?
I did a reading at his funeral. At his not a funeral. What do you call when you have
wake?
Not a wake, but something like a wake, right?
Memorial.
A memorial. I did a reading of, oddly enough, because people were picking all this stuff that was on the nose. So I read from his ESPN magazine sports article that he wrote about the Super Bowl or something about football. At the very end of his life, he was writing for ESPN, the magazine, and writing sports columns. So I read one of the sports columns. Nobody even knew he was doing that. He was doing it for money at the end. And one of them was pretty good. And I read that which was filmed for a documentary by Nabulsi, the woman who was like his handler at the end, who used to work for SNL. She made I don't know what she did with it, but it was a memorial to Thompson here in LA.
Okay. Mark Pugner, have you ever tried DMT?
Have I tried DMT? That's a good question. I think I know I tried STP. I don't know about DMT. Probably have and not realized what it was. I mean, it would have to be a long time ago.
All right. What's on your bucket list?
The bucket list. What's on my bucket list? Oh, I want to go to Israel.
Let me see. Did everyone see they caught the Moscow, Idaho murderer? Well, suspect. They have a suspect.
Yeah, they are suspects, people. I mean, you know.
Anyway, did you ever meet Johnny Carson?
Did I meet Johnny Carson? No, I did not meet Johnny Carson. A little before my time.
All right. These are good. I like these random questions.
These are weird questions. These are pretty weird.
It's fun, though. It's nice to have a bit of a change. $2 from LS Newberry. Thank you very much. Have you ever looked into Chuck Barris? Any truth to Confessions of a Dangerous Mind?
Never thought so. I don't know what that was about. I mean, it could be. What do I know? I mean, people have weird cover stories out here, you know, in terms of being intelligence operatives. But I guess a game show host is as good as anything else.
Somebody's asking a question here that might actually be a show or part of a show. What's the story with George Hamilton?
That's a pretty broad question. Again, I don't think I could talk about George Hamilton anymore either. I'm friends with him and his son for a long time. So I think there might be some paperwork involved with that.
Yeah, either that or it has to be like Larry Hagman. And he's been gone a few years. So
yeah, George Hamilton is an amazing American story, but I think he might still be alive. So I'm going to have to wait.
All right. America's Unsold Interviews.
Yeah, that would be one. George Hamilton.
America's Untold Interviews doesn't sound right. See,
no, that's right. Yeah, you know, yeah, Hamilton. There's great stuff about LBJ, and we're going to tell at some point that George told me repeatedly about dating his daughter and being at the White House and going hunting with him. And wow.
That's right. Well, we're going to have more on LBJ. We only did the up to a certain point. I mean, there's still RFK, and I mean, there's so much stuff coming up. So subscribe now, everyone.
Well, I just wanted to say I got this in the mail today. I was showing Eric. This is the only hard mail that I received was this afternoon from my congressman, Adam Schiff. And it's his retrospective of the year. And I thought I'd just read what the 3 things that he accomplished this year. And then Eric and I could talk about what we accomplished this year. But this is from Adam Schiff, his accomplishments for the year, in case anyone is curious about this. So the first one says offering support. And then there's a second and a third story. They're just like 3 little vignettes of 3 of his voters. So the first one says offering support. This is from Mo of Burbank. Now, the reason this Mo of Burbank, no last name. And there's a reason I'm going to tell you this. Quote, I'm so thrilled not only to have gotten my new passport in such a rush, but one that reflects who I am. Thank you so much, Representative Schiff and his team. Being able to attend the conference was a huge step in my career. Signed, Mo of Burbank. Now you go, well, what's the big deal here? Right? So here's the explanation from Schiff. Mo needed help getting their passport. THE.
Yeah. Okay. I knew it as soon as I heard my real self. I didn't need to go any further.
Mo needed help getting their passport adjudicated before an important work conference involving what? Mo applied for the new Gender X marker, but the only agency that would help is in Washington, D.C. Congressman Schiff was able to help get Mo a passport with an X gender marker in time for their work trip. Thank you, Congressman Schiff. Okay, so the second one is reuniting families. Thank you to the congressman and his office for all their help. It has been a very difficult few years, but I feel so much better now that my family has been reunited. This is from Solora of Glendale. And her story is she works full time, has an infant son, and she had to get her husband from Lebanon here. And this particular congressman expedited the process. Okay, so he did that one, and he did the other one. And here's the last one, solving problems. Thank you for helping me resolve my difficult problem with the IRS. I had heard about the program, and I'm grateful that you were able and willing to help. Jane of Los Feliz. In September 2019, Jane was wrongfully assessed a $200,000 penalty, Eric, by the IRS. Despite requesting a review of her account, the penalty grew and the IRS threatened to put a lien on her home and garnish her Social Security benefits. Congressman Schiff's office submitted an inquiry on Jane's behalf and got her account corrected. The penalty was abated in full. So these were three things that Adam Schiff made phone calls on and resolved, and he's done for the year.
Pretty good year for him.
Yeah, those are three things that he literally picked up, or somebody picked up a phone and took care of.
It's really, an election year. He had to work.
Right. I mean, it's just really weird that those are the three things that he picked of problems of constituents. It really just involved his power as a congressman lifting up his finger to resolve these three problems, including Miss Gender X, Mo.
Hey, Mo. All right. Let me see. Back to locals. Do you have any Laurel Canyon stories?
It floods all the time when it rains, and it's really difficult to navigate during rush hour.
All right. Otto M sent $1 on locals.
Oh, and Richard Lewis used to live there, but now he moved to the Valley.
Oh, okay.
And then Lenny Bruce lived there before, so I think Richard lived there because Lenny Bruce lived there. And then we would go to Laurel Canyon to go to Richard's house, and then go to the deli, which was on the corner next to the Laugh Factory, that deli that was over there, Greenblatt's Deli, where Richard he'd put like 50 equals on top of a piece of cake and then throw the empty packets under the table.
Okay. That's very weird.
No kidding.
Okay. Otto M wants to know, and this could be two series because you're doing Oswald with a publisher, I believe, but then when is your Oswald series finally dropping? So there's the one here, and then there's the publisher one. So I don't know.
Yeah. So the one for us is that it'll be the last 3 episodes of the entire Kennedy series. So that's all I can tell you. I don't know when that is because we're doing all these different characters. So whenever we run out of tangential characters in the JFK assassination, the last 3 or 5 or 4 or I don't know the number,
however many takes, yeah,
right, will be on Oswald. So I don't have a date of that because we don't know how long that's going to take to do all the minor characters. Like on Tuesday, we're doing Jim Braden, who is a minor character, but they're all minor characters compared to Oswald. So, and we will do as many as we possibly can. You know,
we'll try to have it done by November 22nd, but who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Who knows?
I mean,
that would be a good goal, though. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that it's maybe possible, but we'll see.
Yeah, that is not far-fetched. That is not far-fetched.
Tatum sent a $20 tip on locals. Ed Hoffman's account puts the shooter wearing a hat and suit behind the grassy knoll fence near the railroad tracks. Mm-hmm. Gordon Arnold's experience seems to put a shooter described as Badge Man near the opposite end of the fence. Were there 2 grassy knoll shooters?
I just go with the Hoffman thing, and the spot where Eric and I were standing it's just a chip shot from there. I don't know why you wouldn't stand there. I mean, that's where Badge Man was supposed to be, was at that corner of the picket fence. You know what I mean? If somebody else was up the road there a little bit, That would be an awkward shot. That's all I could tell you. I mean, maybe there was the spotter might have been up there a little bit, but the shooter, it's just such a perfect corner right there.
No, yeah. I mean,
right, Eric? I mean,
yeah, no.
Why would you go further up that fence? I mean,
well, it's just too damn easy. It's one of those that you're like, how the hell could they have put the route through it? You know, I would have expected 4 Secret Service people standing there.
Right.
I mean, literally right there at these spots.
Gordon says that phony Secret Service shooed him away. And that's kind of what happened. Other people's explanation was, and there was no Secret Service on the ground. So anyone who said that they were Secret Service taking out a badge was a phony Secret Service agent taking out a phony badge.
Yeah.
Because they were all accountable.
Or somebody who was at the club that brought it home.
Either the ones they found right at the cellar the night before in Fort Worth, or the fact is the CIA used the Treasury Department to print up phony ID and phony Treasury Department and phony Secret Service stuff all the time, having nothing to do with the Kennedy assassination. That's why they recalled everybody's ID in January and February of '64. So there were no outstanding old IDs, and they issued brand new IDs for every Secret Service member. Yeah, and it had like a little different lettering, slight variation from the older ID.
Interesting. Okay. Pasha Moyer, who changed his icon on local, so I was confused. Really? Yeah, he's Santa Claus Pasha now. Mark, for the set air, fire, water, isn't the next element earth or maybe flame?
Oh yeah, it's earth. I think it's earth. Yeah, that's what's on there. There's 4 of them on the card. Okay. I'll make a copy. I'll take a photo of it when I find it after the show. We'll put it on locals.
All right. Baskey on locals said, I think I saw the car in the Henry Ford Museum many years ago.
Okay. A lot of these cars, like the Bonnie and Clyde car and all these other cars, go on tour, right?
Yes.
Wasn't it in? Yeah, some other famous car was in Texas. Of a show that we did. Oh, it was the Mickey Cohen car. That caddy that he never got to drive was in a museum, and I don't know museum, but it was in some sort of a place in Texas. One of the Texas people wrote to us.
Yeah, could be. Who was the Secret Service driver in the Kennedy assassination? Do you ever give testimony? We talked about that. Greer, it's got to be, yeah. And
he gave testimony, yeah.
Sure. This is a wild one. So, what do you two think about the Shakespeare authorship? I have some interesting videos about Francis Bacon to share.
Oh, okay. We try to focus on America's untold stories, not obscure dead British poets from the Dead Poets Society. That's what my take is on it. I think you're on the wrong channel, but did it say Dead Poets Society when we started or no? What did it say? I don't know about Shakespeare. I mean, that's a little out of a purview, but
yeah, I never put any thought into it. But
right. Yeah, me neither.
Okay. Philip Smith book says the Manson thing kicks off with a tiff between Anger and Beausoleil in San Francisco surrounding a Crowleyan Equinox of the Gods event at the Straight Theater in September 1967.
Okay. I don't know what to make of any of that. What is that, a question or?
It was a statement. I don't. Yeah, I don't. It could have been it. I haven't read Chaos in a while. I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay. Steve Austin, 1965, sent a $5 tip. Mark, why was Castro allowed to remain in office when he was such a pariah in the early 60s?
Well, he wasn't a communist at first, so that was part of it. And then
he and Che went around and they killed a lot of people that consolidated their power.
He went to the UN, and then he went to that hotel in Harlem, and we were trying to. We assumed he was on our side for 5 minutes, and then he switched sides. There's some scuttlebutt as to whether he was playing us at the beginning or what. I don't know what his motivation could have been to fake us out. But there was the historical storyline is that either we didn't know he was a communist, or he alleged he was going to work with us, or then he switched sides because we turned him down. But nevertheless, it's not like we didn't try to kill him 516 times. I mean, the amount of assassination attempts were enormous. But that was afterwards. That was after.
Oh yeah, yeah. But I mean, when he went in and took over, it was typical. Kill everybody that can be a problem.
Right,
a lot of
we were still
professors.
feeding him. Don't forget when Jack Ruby was running guns and the mob were running guns to Cuba. They were running guns to him. They weren't running guns to Batista. Ruby was running guns to the guerrillas. I mean, I believe they thought he would take over and just be the new dictator.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't know.
They didn't expect them to take over the damn hotels that they were invested in,
or the fruit company, or the sugar company from Domino, and become a communist. I don't know how they didn't see it, but apparently they didn't see it. And they just thought he was going to be another dictator.
Well, they missed a lot.
Well, he was another dictator, but with
Right.
a communist manifesto.
He was a new kind of dictator.
He was a new kind of dictator.
All right. Monkey Rich Gang from 1975 is on eco-terrorism.
Oh, right. That's right. Thank you. I forgot. Right. Yeah, I did know that.
All right. Let me jump back into YouTube for a bit. What happened to the hunt for Mothman? Tim Pool is in West Virginia. I know.
We could combine the two. That would be great.
Yeah, you know what? If we're just waiting for the invite. We'll be right over.
Yeah, I mean, if we go to Tim Pool, we can combine that with the Mothman.
For sure.
It's not like it's closer to Hunley, that's for sure.
Well, yes, it's driving distance for me.
Right.
Mark, do you think the church committee was a lost opportunity to rein in the security organizations?
I don't think it was lost at all. I think the influence of it lasted for X amount of years. You have to come up with a system where every 10 years there's another official church committee, I think was what I thought back then. I think that today you can't just have one church committee hearing and then never do it again. You know what I mean? I think it has to be legislated where every 10 years there's open hearings on the freaking intelligence services and drag all their asses into the bright lights of congressional hearings, even if nothing's going on. It just has to be every 10 years. Get them under oath, go, what evil have you been doing lately? And let's see some documentation and explanation or whatever. But yeah, I thought it was very effective, but it didn't last very long. It lasted, I don't know, 6, 8, 10 years or something, the influence of the church committee.
All right. Question for Mark. Why were there 2 JFK caskets?
I don't think there was 2 JFK caskets. I think there was one. And I think there were caskets coming into Bethesda of bodies that came from the Bethesda school, so they could futz around with the brains and, do stuff with the photos and the skulls. I think the caskets or body bags that were brought into the autopsy were from right around the corner from the school itself. I don't think they were transported in Air Force One, Air Force Two, or Air Force Three. I don't think they needed bodies. There are plenty of bodies at the Bethesda Medical School. There are plenty of brains, as is dictated and shown in Destiny Betrayed, written by Jim DiEugenio and directed by Oliver Stone. If you look into that 4-hour docuseries, they will go into detail about the use of different brains in the autopsy from the Bethesda school. And I think the bodies came from there also.
Wow.
And,
okay.
David Lifton recently passed away, so we should give a shout out to David Lifton, who came up with that theory in the book, Best Evidence.
Which is a good book, right?
Great book. I mean, it may, not everything is, people seem to buy into 100% of every book. If there's 80% or 60% accuracy, it's a mitzvah. It's great. It doesn't have to be 100% accurate. This is a research community that are amateurs, and Lifton was one of the best. He really moved the ball downfield quite a bit in his life and needs to be commended for that, including Mark Lane. Doesn't mean they got 100% of the story right. And these people who pull out one thing they screwed up and then imply that everything else is wrong is just like some sort of autistic insanity. David Lifton got a lot of stuff right in Best Evidence.
Yeah, there's so much stuff that's involved. Yeah. Let me jump back to locals for a bit. Wells Mortensen's another $5 tip. Bit off topic, might be Mark's territory, might be not. When shopping for pop culture relics, are you getting real deal online, or do you have to know the right people to actually get? I'm sure you have to know the right people to actually get. The provenance.
It depends what the relic is.
Yeah,
it's such a broad market.
I wouldn't trust online. That's a
Not to
tough
physically
one.
see, some paperwork as to how it got to in your hands, I would imagine.
Yeah. Well, like I said, provenance.
Yeah.
Definitely have to. Let's see. Question for Mark. Was the death of George Reeves a suicide? Rumor was he had an affair with Tony Menick's wife.
I think it's both. I think it was suicide and he had an affair.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that the whole question, or?
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
Oh, okay. That's a good movie too, by the way, with Ben Affleck. The Superman movie. I forget the name of it.
All right. Wells Mortensen, another $5 tip, saying, by the way, Eric performing some real labor translating hieroglyphs.
Yeah, he speaks that language, Eric, of the he speaks Spectrum.
Okay, thank you. Our Christmas $10 tip, very entertaining. Thank you. Texas Carrie, Happy New Year both. Haven't been around.
Where have you been? I haven't seen you in a while.
Going back to the hospital. I hope everything's all right.
Oh, wow.
Sorry to hear that. What's our take on the George Santos saga? A politician who lied.
Sounds like controlled opposition to me, and I think they'll find out that the Democrats funded his campaign, which we talked about in the Liddy episode, how they wanted to fund the campaign of Shirley Chisholm, a black congresswoman out of Brooklyn back in the 70s, to do exactly this, what's being done to Santos. I think you'll find out, or maybe not find out, that he was funded by the Democrats secretly, and he may not even know it himself.
Could be.
Yeah.
Somebody's asking, Jacob Schiff and Adam Schiff, are they related?
I don't know who Jacob Schiff is.
Neither do I. Does Mark have any Diane Cannon stories?
A couple. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I had a couple of Diane Cannon stories.
Okay, this must be somebody who knows you or something. Yeah, I'm like,
yeah, that's weird. It's weird.
This is Lamp Post Pundit who asked that. So I don't know. I think some of your wayward friends might be on the locals asking some questions here.
Oh, God bless them. I mean, I'm not going to speak about Diane Cannon today. Let me put that way. But she was stunning back in the day. I mean, absolutely stunning, and a great comic actress, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Let me see. Question: does Mark have any Charo?
Charo, the
I guess
the singer.
I guess
Charo, the performer.
I guess
have any Charo?
Maybe stories. I mean, that was literally
stories about Charo. Yeah, I don't know what the deal was with Charo. She was kind of like Shakira. Before Shakira, there was Charo.
Oh yeah.
And then there was the Argentinian firecracker who led to the downfall of Congressman, what's his face, who died in a plane crash.
Jacob Schiff is the Fed founder. Oh,
the Fed founder.
You know the Fed, Jekyll Island, the Federal Reserve.
Oh, okay.
Now I don't follow it that deeply, but it's like, that okay.
I don't know.
And people are letting me know. Maybe. Okay, he's one of the founders of the Fed. Okay.
All right.
But I don't know that Schiff is an uncommon name necessarily. So I have no idea.
It's from the 1800s. When was the Fed? 1905 was started?
Yeah, it was early 1900s.
This guy, Jacob Schiff, goes back to 1905?
I guess so.
Okay.
Well, they're probably saying, is he a descendant or a family? I don't know. Personally. Hey, we've got over 2,000 people watching us on YouTube.
I got to put some pants on. This is getting crazy.
People already spread that rumor. 470 on Rumble. Boss of 7 said, I'm your case officer.
Really? From what? Allegedly. Like drug dealing days or what?
Probably CIA. Everybody says that.
Oh, I see. Right. That's funny.
Let's see here.
Oh, there is Jacob Schiff, German-born Jewish American banker. Tsarist Russia. I don't know if he's related to Adam Schiff, but he died in Manhattan in 1920. So,
all right, well, there you go. Mark, is LBJ the worst president we've had?
It depends. Again, how do you define worst? I mean, he succeeded in creating more programs than any president in history. You may not like the programs, but just in sheer volume, nobody could touch LBJ.
Except Roosevelt, probably.
No. He said, I'm going to outdo Roosevelt in terms of volume. Yeah, just volume. There are obscure programs that he created that nobody even knows about. But in terms of destruction of the country, that's a good question.
Yeah, because Wilson's got to be high in the list.
Yeah, it's a lot of apples and oranges. I mean, the dust hasn't settled on Biden. He may take the cake. This mutt may outdo LBJ by a landslide.
Yeah, he's trying to outdo Carter right now.
He's outdone Carter, that's for sure. But I mean, he's getting up into LBJ territory, Biden.
Yeah, it's fun times. Mark, any thoughts on the nigh cult like LA AA group, Pacific group?
I don't have any thoughts. They've saved a lot of people's lives. That's all I can say. They saved a lot of lives.
All right. Philip said Wormwood was a great recommendation.
Good.
And
despite, what does it say?
I found it deep state like today. Please pass along.
Right. Well, I got 2 recommendations for this weekend, 2 film recommendations. The first one is a movie. This is for the men. The first one is called Stalingrad, and it's from the producers of Das Boot, the submarine movie. And it's a German. This may be the last time this ever happens. It's a German and Russian co-production, and it's one of the greatest war pictures ever made. This is my recommendation for the men this weekend, Stalingrad. Apropos as to what's going on, one of the greatest war pictures ever made. I'll just put it that way. Now, for the ladies who may not want to watch Stalingrad because of the frozen tundra and the death and destruction in Stalingrad, I recommend this movie with Sandra Bullock called 28 Days. And I think the ladies would like that. Very entertaining movie for the women this weekend. So those are my 2 choices, Stalingrad and 28 Days. I think there was something else. But yeah, Sandra Bullock at her best in this film, 28 Days.
Okay.
There's 2 picks. The Wormwood lady who liked Wormwood.
All right. JFK's Lincoln Continental is at Henry Ford Museum.
Okay. All right.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Have you read Mary's Mosaic yet?
Dude, if you ask me this one more time, I've read the book. Peter Janey's father was a CIA bigwig, the father of the writers. Just to get this through your brain, the father and the writer are CIA of Mary's Mosaic. So take the book with a grain of salt. It's not 100% accurate. It's not 0% inaccurate. Just take it with a grain of salt. It's a CIA written book. Thank you.
All right. Thomas Jolly for $20. Thank you very much.
He might be a descendant of Jolly West. Thomas.
Is it true that Jim Morrison from The Doors was picked up hitchhiking by LBJ?
Never heard that in my life. I've never heard that. I doubt that LBJ would ever pick up anybody hitchhiking. That's why.
Well, if they were in a skirt.
No. Right. I mean, I don't think there's girls hitchhiking in the middle of LA in skirts that LBJ picked up, but who knows?
Yeah, good question. Yeah. Would it be insane to think of fentanyl as an intentional biological weapon?
Not insane at all.
No,
in fact, Trump talked to the head of China and told him to stop shipping it to the United States, and he took Trump up on that and started shipping it. Not that he's shipping it, but chemical companies in China are shipping it directly to the Mexican drug cartels. It was coming here in all kinds of forms, even in like regular postal mail. It was being delivered from China, fentanyl in powdered form, and Trump put a stop to it by telling him that he didn't want it shipped here any longer, and they shipped it now to Mexico directly. So yeah, I mean, in a way, it's a biological weapon, and it can be construed as that if you want to accuse them of an act of war. It's not that far-fetched from my point of view to even invade Mexico with military force to end this. I mean, literally sending the military en masse to destroy their drug cartel factories. How about that for an idea for a New Year's resolution? Sending in the military. They've only killed 100,000 young people in the past year. When is it enough? When is it enough?
I don't know. Trent York, 49.99 super sticker.
Dude, he's trying to keep up with Peter. I mean,
well, thank you.
They're going pound for pound.
No kidding. It's awesome. Thomas Grigsby. Liked your Black Tom show, went to college in Jersey City and knew about it and many German clubs that existed locally.
Right.
What was your inspiration for the show? Well, that one was an untold story.
Yeah, that was an untold story. That was the inspiration for the channel, is untold stories. Yeah, Jersey City, a big Germanic population around there. And I think part of why we wanted to do it was to show you the sabotage involved for a country that was sending arms to two other countries that were in war with Germany. So it may repeat itself, is all I can say. It may repeat itself. And we were trying to show later, of course, we got into the war later, but that sabotage was kept under wraps by the Americans, who did not want to say it was sabotage because of being the target. And then the Germans didn't want to say it was sabotage either. Right, Eric?
No. Oh, yeah. I mean,
right. I mean, both sides kept it secret. So it became a untold story for so many years, because neither side wanted to admit, for their own political reasons, that sabotage was afoot.
Yeah, no. Yeah, right. Completely. Let me see. Back to local shopping cart, USSR shopping cart. Can you give us a general idea of the information that would lead us to the news station that might have a copy of your interview at the hearing where the Mooney's lawyers were yelling at you? They might have archive footage, which I got to tell you would be gold.
It's wherever Gabe Pressman was. Gabe Pressman, one of the most famous. It was Channel 5 in New York, which was a Fox affiliate at the time, was Channel 5, local New York. It's as close as I could get, was Gabe Pressman at Fox. It wasn't called Fox, but it was Channel 5.
Okay. Wells Mortensen.
That would be gold, buddy. I would love to see that.
Yeah, well, please sell us if you get it.
Because they was in a circle around me going, death to you, death to you, death to you. And it was like out of some bad Children of the Corn science fiction horror film or something. It was freaky.
I can imagine. 50 things. Wells Mortensen on locals. Okay, this is interesting. Why do you all hate Woodrow Wilson? Only asking, since some military intel trades allowed for my country to exist.
Wilson. I don't really have an opinion on him.
Yeah, well, I mean, the short list is Federal Reserve, personal income tax, World War I,
right?
Screening of the KKK film at the White House. He's not a nice dude. His history as an educator in creating a lot of the education system is built on factories and the Prussian system.
Hunley on a roll on Woodrow Wilson.
There's just a lot of stuff about him. I mean, okay. I don't have it all on the top of my head, but he's not a
maybe he was the worst president of all time.
A lot of people do think that.
Okay. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, he's up there. Him and Harding comes up quite a lot too.
Right.
The teapot.
I mean, that would be a good book to actually, compare. The book could be called The Worst President of the United States, and you could put different guys in there and compare in the book. That would be interesting.
Yeah, it'd be like the toilet bowl in the White House. No, anyway. Okay, IWD. Throughout human history, there seems to always be a link between spies and spy agencies and the occult. Do you think it's because both attract weirdos or something more sinister? I'm going to push on that and say, I don't know if there's actual links or people wanting them to be links.
Yeah, they wanted to be links. I'll tell you something we mentioned briefly with the Jolly West thing. Stargate was under his administration or purview, and when they were at UCLA, and he was embarrassed by Stargate and didn't want any part of it while he was running his MK Ultra programs. And Stargate involved remote viewing, and there were Russians who were ahead in remote viewing. So we started to do our own program of remote viewers, and you could see it like almost a black comedy version of it in The Men Who Stare at Goats. But he didn't want any part of it, West, and he thought it was bullshit. And he said so in a bunch of documents or letters to the black sorcerer, interestingly enough, Sidney Gottlieb, that he didn't want to be involved in Stargate.
All right.
That's as close as I can get to that.
What do you make of Elon using Schellenberger? Okay, Mark and I talked about this.
Yeah, we had that all
surprised.
I was not happy about that. Yeah, that was weird. That was weird.
Yes, Elon walking into a deep state trap? Very possible.
Very possible. I mean, why not use Julie Kelly? Why not use Miranda
Glenn Greenwald, for God's sake?
Well, I mean, that's an obvious one, is Greenwald, but why not use Julie Kelly at American Greatness, or Miranda Devine, who was involved in the laptop story at the New York Post? Both have written books. Both are conservative journalists. Why does he keep using these people on the left when you could mix it up and let these other people have a take on it?
Right. I didn't mind Taibbi. He was fine. And Barry Weiss is kind of...
Yeah, she immediately attacked him. She immediately went at him.
Yeah.
She bit his hand. I mean, I don't understand this guy sometimes. I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, next he'll use Berenson.
Yeah, that would be the next thing. It would be Alex Berenson. Yeah, he'll go looking for his own case in there.
Okay, David March. I talked to John Kirikow, the CIA whistleblower, this week. He said the first hour of The Recruit was one of the most realistic portrayals of the farm he has seen.
Yeah, that's true. I did a lot of research on it, and what can you say about it? I mean, I've talked to Eric about it, and I just did a lot of. It was on the front page of Variety when I was signed to do. I mean, this is just common knowledge out here. This was not an obscure project. Like I said, it was on front page of Variety and Hollywood Reporter when I signed the deal to do it. And then Chase Brandon out of Langley got involved in writing this or rewriting the script as a CIA operative. And, the rest is in the book and in the episodes for you to see. But yeah.
All right, Miles 5681. This is a good point. Using liberal journals to hopefully convince liberals to take the Twitter files so seriously. I could see that being his intention.
Well, that didn't work.
Yeah, well,
they didn't even cover the story. So I mean, the naivete is breathtaking. I mean, it wasn't even covered. I mean, the national news didn't even cover any of it, barely. That might have been his motivation. You probably.
I think it was. I mean, it makes sense. Yeah. He could be wrong, but that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because if he just went immediately and put out like Glenn Beck releases, it's like that's not going to go over well.
Right.
It's like,
well, the facts are the facts. I mean, whoever prints them is irrelevant. But I mean, both the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times print similar stories like the Pentagon Papers and stuff. But.
All right. Did you ever meet Groucho?
I'm not that old. Jesus Christ.
You're pretty fucking old.
You're out of the Marx. Come on. Groucho Marx, dear Lord.
Alex, Davey Duke, can't watch your show right now. Heading out. Happy New Year's. Thank you. And Happy New Year's to you. See you next year.
Don't watch the show right now while you're driving, at least.
All right. Here we go. I know you've been waiting for this one. What specifically made Mark believe James Files is full of crap?
All the top JFK researchers analyzed his stories and interviews and determined he was lying repeatedly and was caught lying in numerous interviews, contradicting himself. Without me going into detail, the JFK research community itself investigated James Files, and he contradicted himself and had himself, specifically Epstein, one of the original JFK researchers, found that he had contradicted himself and lied on numerous occasions. Without going into specifics, that's kind of what the whole community came up with on Files.
Here's a link I just put into the chat with a lot of researchers research on him right there. So if anybody wants to go click that, check it out.
Again, you have to understand what a limited hangout is. It doesn't mean 100% of James Files' story is a lie. You have to understand that people are given facts in their cover stories and in their legends to allow people to believe their story. You know what I'm saying? It's like, did he was a Fireball XL100 gun used? I happen to believe it was. Does that vindicate James Files? No. I mean, by James Files mentioning the Fireball gun doesn't mean that the rest of his story is true. You really got to get your mind around this storytelling phenomenon that people can't seem to understand. You know,
it's statement analysis. It's
right.
I mean, you're going to put out a lot of good information,
right?
Why in order to deceive?
Yeah,
you want to be actually. If you can make it 99% accurate and make that 1% screw everybody up, then you've done a great job.
Right, but I'm saying people did and do dig down deep and do due diligence on people like James Files, people like Judith Very Baker. All these different people have been destroyed. I don't have the time or the patience to go over what the entire JFJ community did investigating these particular people in 1994. We're in 2023 now, people. I mean, if you can't do your own research to find out, I mean, read the book, Judith Very Baker in her own words. If you want to see why she is a CIA deep state operative, go read that book. And you'll see the contradictions in her own statements. She's now on her 4th book, I think, of now she knows everybody in the assassination, from Clay Shaw to David Ferry to being Oswald's girlfriend. I mean, I don't want to jump on Judith Very Baker, but
this is a link to the book.
Yeah, it's a great book. It's a great book.
On her own words. If anybody wants to check that out, I've been slowly collecting these because the same questions come up.
We don't have time to debunk and have a debate with somebody. These are people who have been thoroughly debunked by the entire research community of JFK that's legitimate. You know, the Jim DiEugenios, the Edward J. Epsteins, these people that, you know, work in this area have done due diligence. Not last week. They did this in 1993. So we don't really have time for that. Sorry to go on about it, but I'm trying to put a button on it. And it's the same with Dorothy Kilgallen. You know, no matter how many videos Mark Shaw makes, it's not going to change the facts of Dorothy Kilgallen.
But we'll continue reading in the comments. Yeah. Gina, check out Jason Goodman's stream from today. It's about Nate. I need to watch it. I know about it. I watched part of it. He's not a fan. I don't know. Great. Did you meet any Scottish rockers? Jerry Rafferty?
Yes, I have. No. What's his name? The late night talk show host, late show.
Oh, Craig Ferguson?
Yeah, Craig Ferguson's a friend. Yeah, he had a rock band. He had a punk rock band, which was pretty prominent in London before he did the movie stuff and before he became a talk show host. Yeah, so there's one.
All right.
And Scottish. Oh, there may be a couple others. Oh, there are a couple others, but there's one guy. Oh, I can't remember his name.
All right. Did Jim Morrison have any connection to the CIA? I knew his dad was one of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. I don't think he was a Joint Chief of Staff.
One of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
He was in the Gulf of Tonkin incident.
Right. He was an admiral. How many levels of admiral are there, Eric?
Well, there's 4 levels.
Okay.
4 stars.
So he was one of the 4 levels of an admiral. Again, it doesn't mean that Jim Morrison started the Vietnam War. It doesn't mean, it means that he was probably rebellious to his father being a hard-ass military guy who probably went to Annapolis, right, Eric?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, well, you don't be an admiral. I mean, his dad wasn't a slacker, obviously.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Raised up the ranks, so yeah, right. But a lot of kids at that time, were kids. Children of World War II vets, and his dad was probably a World War II vet that continued all the way through being an admiral in Vietnam. And I don't know that it was uncommon.
Right. I think it was pretty common. And a bunch of them had military fathers, even girls. I mean, like different music stars and actresses had military fathers.
All right, and let me start cranking through here. Do you know Harlan Ellison?
No, but he's a fascinating guy, especially with Frank Sinatra. Look up, Google Frank Sinatra and Harlan Ellison, see what comes up.
All right. Have we done Untold Stories of American Populism or Populist? No.
Well, I mean, wasn't Garfield kind of a populist, Eric? I mean,
I guess, but we didn't do anything specific. Like Jackson is a populist for sure.
Right.
That's a Barnes thing. I really, check out Hush Hush for sure. Ed, Buck, and Adam. Don't know the reference.
Well, Ed Buck is the guy who's currently in jail over here for killing the black meth guys. So he was a bundler of Democratic campaign contributions for the Clintons and other Democratic candidates. He would give them, it's kind of a weird case because he would give them free meth and have sex with them, and a couple of them died. I think it was kind of trumped up in a lot of ways, the charges, but he got convicted here in LA. So, I mean, in front of a jury.
Yeah. I mean, Jacob Schiff was a banker involved in the 1917 fall of Russia. They claim no relation, but sure. Okay. Probably no relation. I'm just
probably not.
Growing up in Florida, the anti-Castro Cubans were held as heroes, especially those in the 60s. Murdered by Cuban intel. That's worth an hour video. Well, it's America's Untold, guys.
Right. We covered Puerto Rico, which was an American protectorate or whatever Puerto Rico is. That was a stretch.
All right. Oh, here we go. Pasha's on the queue. Merry New Year to you both. Let's not forget, though, Yiddish word of the day.
Yiddish word of the day is tukus. Tukus, Pasha. Just say tukus, Eric.
Tukus.
Very good. Okay. Today is tukus.
Tukus. All right. Mr. Scott J87, sending in the military to Mexico, you're starting to sound like a panel member in the council. A future conflict.
No, I'm trying to stop the drug trafficking that will not stop. It's just coming across the border now. I mean, wars have been started for a lot less than that, my friend.
All right. Jason Smith. Mark, a while back, you said Doug Horn at some point was bought by Deep State and cannot be taken seriously. What about his and others' claims about Zapruder, film, doctoring, and casket switching?
Okay, so the interview that Doug Horn is doing is with a photo expert from the CIA. That's Doug Horn is just naively interviewing the guy about the guy Dan Bruini or whatever his name is, a retired CIA photo intel expert. I rest my case.
All right.
Okay. It was also made by a friend of mine who's the filmmaker from Ireland, who did the RFK Must Die documentary, which also had major problems, where he outed two guys in the film footage of the ambassador ballroom as being CIA, and then they weren't. They were two executives from the Bulliver Watch Company, and he fucked that up. And he's a good guy, lives in Ireland, E2 Films, and he got egg on his face doing the RFK Must Die film. And this Doug Horn, who is a nice guy, as people have said, he was either duped or needed the money.
All right.
But the source of the alteration is the CIA photo expert who couldn't possibly have any motivation whatsoever.
All right. Ty is a new member. Thank you very much, Ty. And Diesel, Woodrow Wilson, why is he despised? Provided passport to Trotsky to get back to Russia from New York City just in time to overthrow the Romanov Empire. Okay. Right. There's a lot on Wilson. John,
by the way, people who think that Zelensky is going to end up in a condo in Miami, and when this dust settles on this thing, I can only cite three names to counter that. One is Gaddafi, the other is Saddam Hussein, and the third is Trotsky. So we'll see what happens to Mr. Zelensky, because it's a big world and it can be made a lot smaller when people are looking for you.
All right. Falvey Pollard. I can't help it. I favor military aid to Ukraine. Am I a tool of the day? It's an opinion.
It's just an opinion, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to criticize.
I would say watch the Duran for 1 week and see if you have the same opinion. How about that for your homework assignment? Watch the Duran, listen to Scott Ritter, go listen to Colonel McGregor, and just do it for a week or two and see if you come away with the same opinion.
All right, there we go. Speaking of Trotsky and German films, Messenger Imp Kopf comes to mind.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know either.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Ash Michael, who does Sean Atwood show. Thank you very much. 2,000 in the live chat.
Oh, he's saying how many people are there?
Yeah. And
that's cool.
Thank you very much. Bill G is a new member.
Well, Bill G, way to go.
Let's see. Andrew Ho, the America's Untold Story of Untold Stories is that every president, apart from Van Buren, regardless of which side of the aisle they sat on, related to each other. Wow, sorry, I'm trying to get my.
Are you saying that they're all related to each other?
Yeah, I could. Yeah, sure.
I don't know about that, but who's Jimmy Carter related to?
I don't know. I think that they do.
Untold Story of the Whiskey a Go-Go. That's funny. I mean, that would cover just every band that played there. Is that what you want? You want a story on every band that played in the Whiskey a Go-Go? Could be a documentary. I mean, I would consider not me personally, but I mean somebody.
It would be a good show. Sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's one on CBGB. There's a movie. There's a drama. There's a documentary.
CBGB. Yes, there is. The guy who did it is Randall Miller, who went to prison for the death of Yeah. Sorry, but
Midnight Rambler, Allman Brothers train killing.
Yep, that Midnight Rider.
Midnight Rider, right?
That's it. Back to locals, and we'll wrap things up. Eric, have you asked Mark about Reed Sutton Wilson and how he may be connected to JFK? He's my great uncle, my marriage.
Okay, what's the connection?
I don't know.
He doesn't know either.
I don't know. They're asking if
he's saying that this
how maybe he is. I don't know.
Okay, let me.
It's on locals.
Okay.
Please post and write more. Tag at Lord Buckley.
More information. I think we need more than that. It's just a random name.
USS Shopping Cart sent a tip saying, if I send you some clips from the Jack show so you can see what they are about, will you reconsider going on their show? I know they love your knowledge of and experience with comedians, LSD, Timothy Leary, etc. They have a running gag with serial killers that you'd love. I don't know that we're against it. It's just difficult to schedule.
This guy, I just don't have the time. I could barely do these 2 shows a week. I mean, Hunley's got a lot of stuff too. He's got a regular job.
It's tough. I mean, and I'd like to do it. It's been a bad month for me. Truthfully, this is the only show I have done consistently since I've been injured.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't done a single Eric Hunley episode. I haven't done a Layback News episode. I did one show with Nate. This is the only one I've been able to hang through.
Yeah, and I don't have enough wardrobe to start doing other shows.
All right. For Mark, word of the day from some episodes again. Pupek is actually a Czech word for belly button, universally accepted. Pupek.
No, Pupek is right. Okay, so there's overlap of German, Yiddish, and all kinds of Germanic languages.
Okay, well, that makes sense.
Okay, yeah. Well, right. I mean, there's all kinds of overlap of language. I mean, Tukas probably has a close Germanic cousin to that, and the Czechs obviously next door have that too.
Okay, and a couple more here. I see. Messenger M. Knife in the Head, German film.
Okay, what's that about?
I guess something that you should watch. I don't know.
Okay.
Sounds
like a fun romp through the Third Reich. I'll take a look at it.
All right. Valvey Pollard is a daily listener to Duran, Alexander Mercaros, Alex C., but still can't help but favor 8. Okay. So your favorite.
Yeah, good luck.
It sounds like you're well informed and making a good decision. There's nothing. Everybody can have different opinions. I appreciate the fact that you're well informed and have an opinion. That's all.
Okay.
But on that note, we're going to be covering Jim Braden on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Oswald will always be here, and you can
Right. Well, we're going
find
to
one
get
of your own.
well, hopefully by the end of the year of 2020, not this year. We're at the end of this year, but
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
it kind of snuck up on me like, oh, this is it, Hunley. We're done. The end of the
Uh,
year. No, I mean the end of the year story.
I always love it. There's always people in the chat. Whenever I bring up Oswald, Mark hates that dog. It is so funny.
I don't hate the dog, just not a fan of that design. That's all. I mean, if it's soft, I think the bear is just better. You know,
I'm single-handedly
Hunley
suppressing
is
the
suppressing the occult stuff. Yeah, he does not want to get into that.
All right. Well, folks.
He used to live in Salem during the witch trials. You know.
Oh, good Lord. Well, okay. Down below, I put a locals link on here. As you guys saw, I do try to read specifically from locals. I have a show on locals that I do every week. Grill stream. I'm trying to do other stuff. People are asking about the Jason Goodman crowdsource the truth. I may talk about that on locals during the grill stream. I don't want to give it a lot of oxygen because it's very odd. So anybody who wants to hear whatever my opinions are on that, I'll be doing that on the grill stream tomorrow. And next week we have Jim Braden, right?
That's on Tuesday. Yeah. If you want to reach Hunley or I'm on PayPal and Venmo for the JFK Book Fund. There are books that I could use funding help for. And there's also Cash App for Hunley. And down below are the links to my book and other things that we have. And also the unstructured link, right, Eric?
Yeah, it's all down there. And also, if anybody, we just got a donation through the P.O. box.
Oh, you can mail some to Eric if
Yeah.
you want to make a donation to us. Or like I said, if you don't like PayPal or Venmo.
Exactly.
Goes
So,
to
thank you.
Getting JFK books is really, or books on other subjects too, because I did get Garfield books that were out of print. I got some other books that were out of print. So I try not to use the library here because it is a Marxist operation, and I try not to get involved with them. I'm serious. I once went in there and asked them where the JFK books were, you know, the hundreds and hundreds of JFK books. And she says, I can't put them on display. And I go, why not? She says, because they steal them. I go, who's they? She goes, you know. And I said, no, I don't know. Who are they? And if they steal them, why don't you just charge them for the book or replace the book? And she looked at me like I was crazy. And they do not have those books in the public library in Los Angeles. And it's just a long, crazy place. They're still wearing masks in there. Let me put it that way. In that public library. There's still the last bastion in LA are the Marxist librarians, who are the craziest, not Leslie, obviously, but the Marxist librarians here in Los Angeles are so far left to be absolutely out there. And I just don't like to patronize. I'd rather just purchase the books outright through help.
Well, but you can mark them up too. So.
Yeah. I could do whatever I want with them. Right. And there's no time limit.
All right. So on that note, we'll see everybody Tuesday.
Well, Tuesday for Braden. Yeah, that'll be good.
All right.